I've been putting off filming this because I just have so many books to talk to you about. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I feel like it's been a little minute, but today's video is going to be as quick as I possibly can make it because it is time for my June TLDR wrap up. If you're unfamiliar with my TLDR wrap ups, this is my way of wrapping up what I read in the month, but we're gonna try and rapid fire it because these are too long, but I did read. I'm going to run through the titles and give you like a sentence on what I thought as well as my rating. Usually I have a bit more chatty of an intro, but I'm trying to get these put away. So I want to let you know what I thought and clean them up. To give you a little bit of other fun information though, in the month of June, I did manage to read 57 books and a total of 16,895 pages. Why did I do this? I'm gonna start discussing my favorites of the month, and that is Wonderthon. Wonderthon is almost more of like an annual favorite, but it occurs in June, and it's just a really intense readathon my friends and I have been doing every single year. It's created by my bestie Lizzie over at Lizzie's Literary Life, and part of that competitive reading is reading a lot of graphic novels and a lot of other things just like as quickly as I possibly could. And that's how we got to 57 somehow. Like I said, a lot of those are graphic novels, so I kind of have two piles here divvied up that way. My graphic novels and my traditional prose over here. We will dive into that chaos in a moment, but I just wanted to bring that up to remind you that this is not my standard and this is not a reflection on your reading through the month. This is the reflection of someone who had much too much time on her hands and a competitive nature. Another favorite that I have started enjoying in the month of June is Never Have I Ever. My partner and I just started watching this, and I had heard it around back when it was like coming out, and I've always seen the clips of it on like, you know, TikTok and other real media, but finally picking it up, it is so addicting. Like the writing is just so engaging, and I find myself so frustrated but rooting for our main character all the time. There's a bit of a recurring fat-phobic element to it that I don't love, but unfortunately it's kind of an inevitable part of most media, especially comedy media. Overall though, I'm really enjoying it. I think we have one more season left and then we are done. So in July's wrap up, I will let you know how that went. My final favorite would probably be going to Margaritaville with my mom. She came into town for a little bit, so I went down to Orlando to visit, and we got margaritas at Margaritaville. I got this mango margarita. It was actually incredible, and I don't drink, and it was just, I've been obsessed with mango. Can that be another favorite of mine? I love mangoes. That is like so my go-to right now. I think it's my second favorite fruit of all time, behind only watermelon. And usually when I go to the grocery store, I grab watermelon and mango. And that's my treats for the week. That's enough yapping though. Let's just try and fly through these books so you can see what I've been dealing with here, towering around me. No. See, what I loved about June is not only did I have a great reading month in terms of like the numbers of books I've read, I had so many hits. Like it was kind of hard to compile like a top favorite or two because I literally loved so much of what I read. I do think I'm going to give my favorite of the month award to Fool's Fate by Robin Hobb though. This was absolutely incredible. I can't yap too much about it. 5-star. Usually the last book in each of the trilogies I've been reading has turned out to be my least favorite, and this is the first one where it was potentially my favorite of the entire universe so far. Loved it. Then a surprising new favorite of all time is Dune by Frank Herbert. I planned to read this throughout the entire 2 weeks of the readathon, and I finished it in about 3 or 4 days. It was phenomenal, and I thought the writing would be like really dry and stale just because it is a classic, and that was not the case. I was so hooked. I actually cared about the characters, and I do think I'm going to continue the series, even though I hear not great things about future books. Those were probably my top 2. The rest are not going to be in any particular order, but I want to just get going. So let's get going. Junie B. First Grader Cheater Pants by Barbara Park. All of these always get a 5-star. There is no debate to it. You Must Not Miss by Katrina Leno. 5 stars. One of my favorite young adult books of all time. I loved it. I cannot wait to read more by Katrina Leno. The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. 3 stars. I thought it was okay. I just expected a little bit more from it. It's Not Okay to Feel Blue and Other Lies, curated by Scarlett Curtis. This is a collection of essays from a lot of celebrities and mental health advocates that are talking about just like depression and mental health and all of that. I'm not going to rate this because it is essays and reflections. My coworker gave me this to read because she really, really loves it, and I enjoyed it. I liked being able to read just a couple little essays here and there every day throughout the month. I did feel that some essays, it just rubbed me the wrong way when the creators would plug their companies. And it happened enough that it was like an ongoing theme, but at the same time, I think there is like a benefit from plugging your resources for people. It just felt a little repetitive in how many people were doing that. But I guess that just means that the editor found very successful and prevalent people in their fields. So take with that what you will. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I gave this a 4.5, absolutely obsessed with it. He writes just like he speaks, so be wary of that when you pick it up. I think that that could either really enhance your enjoyment like me, or frustrate you if you're maybe like not used to his humor and his style of, you know, portraying information. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I tried vlogging this book like 2 separate times, and that vlog did not see the light of day either times. And I went ahead and gave this about a 3.5. I think it had the slight disservice, maybe a major disservice, that I was trying to finish this like the day before Wonderthon, and I just don't think this is a book you need to binge. I think this is a book where I would have really liked the meandering of the story if I wasn't trying to rush through it. I will continue the series though. Then I read Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear by Shauna Maguire. This is the newest Wayward Children series book, and I actually loved this installment quite a lot. I gave it a 5-star, and I have been kind of feeling lackluster about the last few, so I'm really, really happy that I enjoyed this one. Then I read The Last Dragon on Mars by Scott Reintgen. This is a young adult sci-fi taking place on a colony on Mars, and I thought it was really interesting. It was definitely one of the more unique middle grade books I've ever read. I don't know if I said it was middle grade or young adult, but it is middle grade, I think. Either way, I really liked it. I gave it a 4-star, but I don't think I'm going to continue the series. It just wasn't quite a story for me, but the writing was really, really good. I recommend it if you have like maybe a young reader or a reluctant reader. I think it was quite fun. Then I read Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. I have seen this title really making its rounds since it came out just a few months ago. I gave it a 4-star. It really, I think, messes with your brain. And I think that the way everything culminates was really, really unique. I think if you've never read any of Nnedi Okorafor's other works, I highly recommend this one. You're following a disabled author as she is working on her new book that was kind of her passion project, and you see where the popularity of the book takes off from there and how it impacts her life in more scientifical ways. I really have my sci-fi jargon down, can you tell? Speaking of another sci-fi, I have A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. I gave this a 5-star. My partner and I listened to the audiobook during the competition, and we both really loved it. I think I liked this part more than the first one, which I don't know if that's unpopular or if people generally just love them both, but gave this a 5-star. I just thought it was everything that I wanted. Speaking of everything that I wanted, you would not believe what book I convinced the Anik jousting team to read during the competition, and it is one that I've been rooting to have people read with me for a while because I've never read them, and that is Warrior Cats Book 1, Into the Wild by Erin Hunter. This is my first time engaging with any sort of Warrior Cats media, and I'm kind of obsessed. This was intense. Like, my friends were doubting me when I said this, but a lot of like people who read it with me agreed. It's like Robin Hobb levels of immersion in this world. Like, it was so quickly just took off as being like a real fantasy. Oh, a little kid left notes in this copy. That's so cute. I didn't know because I listened to it. I just got this so I could, you know, show it off. And they have little theories for the stuff. That's so cute. Anyway, I gave this, I think, a 5. I really can't comprehend what was happening a little bit. I did get the graphic novel, so I can give that a shot as well. It was just so much more than I expected it to be, I'm telling you. Then I read Horus Rising by Dan Abnett. This is the first book in the Horus Heresy series. This is the Warhammer 40k, like, Black Library series. This takes place 10,000 years before the events of Warhammer 40k. I went ahead and gave this a pretty solid 3. I do think I will continue with the series for a multitude of reasons. My only biggest complaint was this is definitely written, I think, for people who are already fans of the world, because it just didn't hold your hand with the different legions and the different militaries and the different species. But as someone who has never interacted with Warhammer anything, it just felt like I was like swimming against the current to try and understand what was going on. It wasn't so bad. Like once we got into a certain situation, I could understand what was going on. But the beginning of each situation where you were like maybe introduced to new people and new military titles. I don't know the military titles. I don't know anything. There was luckily though a little character sheet of important people in the front, and that came in clutch. Then I read Odd Spirits by S.T. Gibson. This is a novella for the Evocation series. Haven't continued the series. Like, I own one of them, but I haven't read it. I just knew that this was short, and I needed it for the game. I ended up giving it a 3. I really, really loved the beginning, and then it kind of just like throughout the story for me. I don't want to say too much of what it's about because I have no idea how it's going to relate to the rest of the series, but if you know, let me know if it was like okay that I read this first. I assume so. It's a prequel. I do have a couple more traditional prose books to talk to you about, but we're going to take a little bit of a manga break. During the challenge, I managed to read volumes 8, 9, 10, and 11 of Sweat and Soap, which finished out the series. These are by Kentetsu Yamada, and I've been reading them slowly over like the last 1.5 to 2 years. And I really, really like the series. I think each of these volumes fell a little less for me. They weren't very low. I think the lowest was probably like a 3, but they weren't any like 5-star favorites. I just felt like the series was ready to start wrapping up, and I'm happy that the author did, and she had her chance to wrap it up how she wanted. It was very sweet. I love this couple, and I liked what we did get to see of the end of their story. Then I got to read volumes 1, 2, and 3 of Lore Olympus, and I enjoyed them all. I enjoyed them enough. I found the writings to be a little bit juvenile or immature, but it did handle the mature parts well. It just was kind of like the tone shifts would be kind of jarring. And the art wasn't my favorite. I know a lot of people really, really love the art. I thought it was pretty inconsistent in quality throughout. That being said, her use of color theory, incredible. Like, the use of different shadings for the 2 main characters and other characters throughout, I thought was very, very well done, and is part of what's going to keep me reading. Because the little elements of the writing that I didn't love, like, it came together in important moments and I still enjoyed it. It just isn't how I love reading fantasy stories. Like, it was almost giving urban fantasy a little bit too much for me, but the coloring was just literally incredible. Then I read one of the most incredible mangas I've ever read, and I sobbed for, I timed it because I filmed it for a vlog. I cried for 13 minutes finishing this series collection, and that is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas by Yoru Sumino. I have been holding on to this book for quite a few years, and I was really, really excited to finally get to it for the challenge I was working on. You should see that vlog in hopefully a week or 2. This was incredible. You're following our main character, and he has a classmate that he accidentally discovers is dying from pancreatic cancer. or it might just be in general a pancreatic disease. Either way, he's the only one who knows this information, and they form this bond that is just so incredible. I highly recommend it. And you know, I love a manga or graphic novel series that is just one beautiful bind up of a story. I think this is really great for someone who also is maybe wanting to get into manga and really get an idea of what it's about, but is overwhelmed by those huge series or the huge fantasy plots. I highly recommend this. Speaking of a manga series with a lot of volumes and a lot going on, I read My Hero Academia, volumes 3 and 4, and I love them both. I think I gave them both probably like 4.5s. I've been making my way through this series, and I'm having a great time. I've never watched the show. Eventually I will. And my partner is dying for me to finish them. So hopefully I'll be reading more soon. Another incredible manga I read was Blood on the Tracks. This is by Shuzo Oshimi. I gave this one an easy 5 stars. It was one of my favorites from this challenge I'm doing. I don't know how to convey what it's about, but you're following our main character and his mother, who might be just a little bit unhinged. Then I read Box of Light Volume 2 by Saiko Irasawa, and I really liked this one. The first half of it, I was kind of like, this feels like a repeat of what was happening in the first book, just like, you know, short little stories of stuff. But by the end, we're getting plot, baby. I'm excited to continue. Then I read I Want to End This Love Game by Yuki Demoto. I really enjoyed this one. It's about 2 kids who are always trying to fluster each other when they were growing up by admitting their love for each other, and whoever actually catches the feelings first loses. I thought it was just a very cute back and forth moment, and I think I could see myself picking up more when I'm like really craving something like this, but I'm not running out to buy the next volume. Okay, then I read Inside the Tentacle Cave, and this was a gift. That's the only reason I own it. It was like a jokey, fun gift. It happened. I'm gonna keep it because the gift was incredible. Like, this is such a perfect pick for me. The actual content, quite bad. Then I read the first 5 volumes of Blue Flag because I simply couldn't stop. I am so obsessed with this story and so hooked on it. You're following our main character, and he's kind of in a love triangle situation, but an actual like closed one where, like, you know, he could like him and he could like him and they could like, you know what I mean? Like, there's like actual things happening. It's almost borderline giving me polyamorous vibes, which I think is kind of fun. I mean, it's not gonna go that route, but I like how it's playing with the concept of love and feelings and how complex they are. I've seen a lot of comp comparisons to Heartstopper, and I would definitely agree with that, mostly just because I think these 2 characters give Nick and Charlie vibes, but nothing of the story is very much like that. The characters just feel very similar. I recommend it. I have the rest of the series to finish, and I am so excited. We are getting through my list, I promise. Then I read Komi Can't Communicate by Tomohito Oda. This is about a young girl named Komi who has really bad social anxiety and cannot speak, and our young boy protagonist who wants to help her make friends. I liked this enough. It felt quite repetitive, and I didn't love that element. I think this is one that I saw was originally like a single issue, and then people loved it and it kept going. So that kind of gives me hope that I think maybe future volumes I would like a little bit more. They would have less of that, you know, singly telling the same plot over and over again feeling, but I liked it enough. Then I read Perfect World. This is by Ri Aruga. This was a really fantastic romance between our young character and her high school. I don't know if it was her high school crush or if they were just high school friends. And when they meet up after college, he is now disabled, and they reconnect in a way that neither of them expected to. What I loved about this book was how genuine and real and authentic it felt. Like, it really goes into the struggles that our main character goes through every day of his life. It discusses challenges he runs into as an architect in terms of accessibility. It discusses things that his body goes through that he just can't avoid, such as like bed sores and UTIs and other issues that would come with an injury like this. I thought it was really fantastic, and I do look forward to reading more in this series. Then I read Full Metal Alchemist Baby. I think I gave these both a 5-star. Fantastic. I've never seen the series either. This is my first reaction to the story, and it's so good. Like, I knew it was so good, but it's really so good. Then I read One Punch Man Volume 2 by One. This was good. I just think I prefer the voice actors of the show. Then I read Toilet Bound Hanako-kun by Idalro. This was really, really fun. This is about like a young spirit who's in a school with other spirits, and him and this other girl get intertwined, and they're kind of solving some mysteries that might be going on. It was fun. I think the show could be a lot of fun, and I have a box set of like the first 6 volumes, so I will continue this. Then I read Fangirl Volume 4, which should complete the Fangirl manga series. I don't really know my thoughts on it. I think I enjoyed it. I don't know if that's just because I usually enjoy the story of Fangirl anyway. I don't know if it needed to be manga-fied, but I liked the art. I thought the artist they did choose was really, really good. And those are kind of all the thoughts I have about it. Then I read My Happy Marriage. This is volume 1 by Akumi Agitogi, is the like original concept. It was fantastic. I think I didn't realize these were novels, light novels, before becoming a manga. It's so good. It says on the back, it's a Cinderella-inspired slow burn historical romance with a paranormal twist, and it was fantastic. A little more brutal than I expected, just a warning going in. There is, I think, a content warning. I just saw content warnings online, but it does deal with heavier topics because she is so heavily abused by her family in that Cinderella role. The actual connection between the two, I picked up the 2nd volume. Then I read Ramna Half by Rumiko Takahashi. Finally, this will also be in that vlog challenge for people who have wanted me to pick this up. I thought it was a lot of fun. I definitely will be continuing this. You know I love Rumiko Takahashi. Basically at this point, like, it should just be in my description on my channel because I mention it anytime I talk about manga. And I thought that this was very, very fun. There's a bit of a gender bending element to it that I was hesitant to read just because I was nervous about cultural differences, how it would go, you know, all that fun jazz. And there is a lot more nudity than I expected in this. I think that's a cultural difference. But the actual reasons why our main character changes gender, I think, is really fun and isn't distasteful at all, in my opinion. Of course, I'm always willing to hear other people's thoughts on that if they disagree with that. But I think that the intention of this was more to create silly scenarios with that versus be like a bigger statement. But this is also volumes 1 and 2. So who knows how it'll go? I will find out. Then I read The Summer Hikaru Died by Moku Mokuren, and I had no idea that an anime is literally currently happening. Like, episode 1 is currently on Netflix, and that's all that's out right now. So I am absolutely gonna eat that up. I liked this volume a lot. It reminded me a great deal of Summertime Rendering, where it kind of has that doppelganger horror aspect, where like someone's been replaced by a demon doppelganger. Where Summertime Rendering felt a little more sci-fi with it though, this feels a little more traditional, like folky horror. So we will see how it goes as I keep reading it, but I am excited for the show. Then just for a quick graphic novel, I did read Sisters by Renee Telligmeyer. I don't know how to pronounce her name, excuse me. I liked this one a lot. I was surprised by how much I liked Smile. That dealt a lot with it's like a memoir type graphic novel where it discusses like times in the author's life. The first was when she had like some severe teeth injuries happening, and then the second book being about her relationship with her sister. I just think they're really great. They tell a great story. Her art is fun. They're fast. I can definitely see why they're so prevalent. Like, I see them being sold to kids all the time, and I definitely get that. I wish I would have seen them when I was younger. I did read volumes 13 and 14 of Inuyasha. What do you think? I loved them. There's no debate. I love Inuyasha. Actually, volume 14, I think in particular, was the volume that really had my heart, where I just loved every chapter in it. And I was like, this feels like the Inuyasha I know and love. Then I read Witch Hat Atelier volumes 3 and 4. I thought maybe I would get to more of them. I think I checked out like up to 12, but that's okay. I got to 2 of them. I liked them. I definitely did not like them as much as the first volume, but that by no means I will stop reading them. Like, I still think they're very, very engaging, And yeah, I think that there's a show that's been announced as well and is in development. So I would like to be as caught up as I can when that comes out. Then I read The Magic Fish by Trung Le Nguyen, and I really, really loved this. This also has a bit of a Cinderella element to it, but more of like a general fairy tale element. And you're following our main young character as he's just kind of like going about his normal life and his relationship with his mother, but he is also kind of realizing that he's gay, or he's known for like a little bit maybe, but he's trying to figure out how to tell his mom. There is a bit of a gross behavior happening from like the teachers in his school trying to tell him, not to do that. But I just really loved, there's like elements of like that storyline going on, as well as his mother dealing with just like the trauma of her childhood and her experiences and her life just being different than she ever expected it would be. And it's interspersed with these traditional fairy tales that are also playing a similar role in the morals of the story. And I just thought it was fantastic. The artwork was really, really pretty. And I liked that each kind of section of the story got its own coloring. I thought that was really well done. And I just really highly recommend this one. Then I read Dream and Sun Volume 2 by Ichigo Takano. That's the author of Orange, who I really, really love. But I don't know how I feel about this book. We're following our main character as she moves into a house with like 3 other boys. It was really giving Fruits Basket vibes in the first volume in that aspect, and I really, really loved it. But this volume, it was fine, but it didn't really do anything for me. So I would really like to know if you think I should continue reading this, or just, like, is it gonna just be really simple the whole time, or will it get more intense, emotional? I don't know what word I'm looking for. Just let me know if it's good enough to keep going. Finally, the last manga I read was After the Rain, Volume 2, and I loved this. I love this story. So this deals with an age gap romance where our main character is 17 and she has feelings for her boss. And he is just like a very simple, plain man, essentially. And, he doesn't think that this 17-year-old girl should have feelings for him. And I just love the way it's handled. Like, I really don't think it's glorifying this age gap situation. I think it's really complex of, some physical trauma our main character has gone through and her relationships and what they look like, as well as her boss who has a young son. And I just think it's really, really good. How many times did I say something was really good? Did you take a shot every time I did? Because I feel like that would be fun. We have about 5 more books to fly through, shall we? An audiobook that I listened to was actually Yearbook by Seth Rogen. Hi. I thought it was one of the most unique audiobook experiences ever. Like, I thought it was so interesting. It's a collection of essays and, like, in Seth Rogen's humor, if you know him, there's a lot of talk about drugs. There's a lot of talk about, being a young Jewish boy in Canada. What I loved about the audiobook, though, was that he had, like, voice actors doing all the other voices, but in a way that was, like, way more immersive than just hiring multiple voice actors. Like, every time that they would have a conversation that he was reflecting on, he would, like, narrate it, but it was ongoing like a scene in a show would be. I just thought it was incredible. If you already like him, or you're at least, like, semi-interested in stories of debauchery and crazy things that I did not expect young boys to be doing in Canada, I highly recommend it. It was a good audiobook listen. Then I read Last Night at the Telegraph Club, and this is by Melinda Lowe. I gave this about a 4.5, but I rounded up to, I think, like a 5. I really, really enjoyed this. This is a historical queer romance taking place in 1954 between a young Chinese American girl, and there's the Red Scare paranoia happening at the same time. I thought that there were just a couple things I expected it to go in more detail on, or different. Like, I just felt like it was pitched to go into different directions a little bit more than it did, but that doesn't mean I disliked the directions it did go in. My expectations were just a little off. But I highly recommend this for young adults in your life, I think that this would be a great book to like teach in classes if they would teach something like this instead of, you know, the same like Catcher in the Rye over and over again, or The Great Gatsby. I don't like The Great Gatsby or The Catcher in the Rye. Speaking of books that should be taught in school, I read The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. I ended up giving this, I feel like I was doing like a 3.5, but after our discussion, I definitely want to round it up to a 4. I read this for one of my work. Really? She is just rolling around in all these books. I read this for one of my work book club picks, and I thought it was a really, really great discussion. It was so, I don't even know how to talk about this book, but it's a world where concepts and words are being taken away from people, and there are the memory police, oh, thank you, who go around and make sure that people don't remember these things. Okay, I really think she wants me to wrap it up. I thought this was fantastic. I think the open-endedness in a lot of directions was done in such an intentional way. Sorry, I have fur literally all over me now. I recommend this one. For a new debut, I also recommend, I read Alice Chen's Reality Check. This is by Carol Liu and Jennifer Young. This is a new author writing duo, and this story was kind of like a romance of like a reality show mixed with a murder mystery. I think personally it did everything that I wanted Ruth Ware's One Perfect Couple to do. I think this did that much, much better with the reality game aspect and like the thrilling mystery at the same time. I actually like really, really look forward to seeing what else this author duo comes out with, and they will be on my radar for sure. Okay, the last book I want to talk about before I am drowning in fur and forced off is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This is by Sangu Mandana. This is the first one of this author's books that I have ever read. Now I have actually read her newest one, so you'll see that in my July wrap-up. God, my lip gloss, everything is just covered now. Quick while she's gone for a moment. I gave this a 4. I really, really liked it. I see a lot of comparisons of this to The House in the Cerulean Sea, and I do see that comparison in terms of just like the family dynamic of what's happening in this home. It just felt a little too heterosexual for me, and that's okay. Like, it's fine. I just am getting burnt out of that a little bit, and it wasn't like there were no queer characters. The main romance, I just wasn't really super interested in them, to be honest. But I liked the atmosphere, I liked the world, I liked the writing. It still kept me very engaged. I actually flew through this audiobook when I was driving home from Orlando. So definitely worth listening to and giving it a go. That's it though. That is the 57 books that I managed to read in the month of June. I have a lot of books to clean up. I've been dying to film this simply to clean it. I've been filming for 53 minutes. I really hope I can cut down the actual content of my yapping. Thank you so much for being here and watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more from me. Until then, I'm going to see you in my next one. I have a lot of things to deal with, including just copious amounts of fur. So, bye!